You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. Check here in a second if we have any new callers. I'm guessing we don't. We don't. So, we will just go ahead and get started. By the way, Mr. Negative, if you're listening, come on, bro. Sent Mr. Negative my phone number because he likes to leave little comments like, what was it? Oh, the Packers will be 6-11 or 7-10. And I was like, you should just call into the show. He doesn't want to do it. So I'm hoping we can get him in here. I've been saying I'm ready for some more adversarial voices, but I could understand not wanting to do all that. Anywho, looking forward to new callers, but let's get started today with 1265 fan.
Hi, 1265 here.
Hello.
How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing good.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry, it's been a while. I know it's been like a month since I called, but anyway, I had to call once I heard my boy Baron got an interception for touchdown in practice. Yay! And apparently he had an off-season working out with Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like really ripped right now, more so than he was. And Micah's teaching him how to be a dog. Yes. So just so you know, I did not pick a rookie to watch this year. First time in probably 10 years. I don't know. A rookie to watch for me doesn't really always have everything to do with talent. It's the person inside the talent. So, yeah. That's kind of where that goes. But anyway, yay, Baron! Hooray! Okay, bye.
Well, as like I said, we got 2 fourth-round pick pass rushers, and as high of a hit rate as the Packers have had in the 4th round, and as much hype as those guys have had, both of them were, everybody's very excited to get them, especially Sutton, because he was perceived as a really big faller. Yeah, I feel like somebody's got to take a step, and as I said, and obviously I've been a skeptic. I think the fan base really liked him last year. And, when I looked at the grades and the stats, I'm just kind of cautioning everybody, it really wasn't very good. So let's not get too hyped up. But all the signals have pointed in a very positive direction that Baron Sorrell took a pretty big step. And you're right. I mean, he didn't get a lot of opportunities, so it's not like he played a ton and he was bad. I'm just saying from the little bit that we saw. Now he's going to get a big upgrade in opportunities. He's had an offseason to prepare. He's in a new scheme, which is good for pass rushers, at least seemingly. You got guys basing their entire careers on following Jonathan Gannon around. You've got the fact that he's never rotated one time up to this point as far as starting as a pass rusher opposite Lucas Van Ness. That to me is shocking. The fact that he's stood out pretty repeatedly, the interception, the 20 miles per hour thing, like you said, the fact that he worked out with Micah in the offseason obviously is going to be a massive benefit. The fact that he stood out big time at family night. Again, it's all just kind of reading tea leaves, but everything is pointing in one direction. So I'm very, very excited. I mean, I say it all the time, but if this team stays healthy, I just feel so good about so many people. I feel so good about Golden. I feel so good about Cisse. Obviously, I feel fantastic about Jordan and Christian and Reed and Tucker and our running backs. I mean, Josh Jacobs is a fantastic running back, but Marshawn Lloyd is looking like if we can get both of them, that means healthy and, all legal stuff being okay. That's looking like a great tandem. And then it's just a question of the offensive line, which, again, assuming everybody's healthy, I don't see any reason why that doesn't take a step because of all the injuries that they endured last year, especially premium guys like Zach Tom. Yes, I'm still calling him that, giving me time. So yeah, I'm pumped. And, again, I've been a skeptic of Baron Sorrell, but I'm calling balls and strikes here. 1265.
Hey, I had an idea.
All right.
Since Baron's number is 99, could Brick maybe find a song? Like, you know, something like 99 Left Balloons and make it into a Baron song?
Yeah.
About his pick six in practice? That'd be cool. Okay, bye.
I kind of think I did. Didn't I do a song for Sorrell because of his pick? I don't know, but that's a great idea. I should do that. I have at least two songs that are sitting there because I haven't done a Tundra in a couple. I've just been kind of collecting songs and song ideas. I was upstairs and I, in one of those weird moods where I'm just like belting, singing as loud as I can. Kids are furious because they can't hear their TV, but I just got to get, you know, that the scene from The Office where Andy Bernard and what is her name? Pam Beasley. The two lowest people with the worst sales numbers have to go out and go door to door and stuff, so they get stuck together. And he's like singing everything that he sees. He's singing the floor numbers. He's doing. First of all, I very much identify with that. I'm up there making mozzarella stick songs. I sing frickin' everything that is around me that I'm touching. Anyways, there's a part where he's singing stuff and he's to a certain part of the song, and Pam just kind of cuts him off. He's like, there it is. Okay, we're good. Let's go get in the elevator. And she's like, so now you don't have to sing it. And he's like, yeah, but now I can't like resolve the melody, and it's like stuck in my head. It feels like a sneeze that I can't get out. I'm not Andy Bernard, you know. I'm not like thinking I'm a really good musician and going to go on America's Got Talent or whatever the name of the show was on that show that Aaron Rodgers actually was on and said he was terrible and he can't just sit there and cry. But as far as completely identifying with that, I absolutely get that. My wife will try to talk to me like mid-song, and it's like I got to get through. I'm basically ignoring her because I got to get like through the chorus or through whatever part before I can talk to her. And she's like annoyed that I'm not answering. She's like, "Are you listening to me? Do you hear me?" And I'm not responding, but in my head I'm saying, "Yeah, give me a second. I got to finish this." And then when I finish, it's like, yeah. Anyways, so what were you saying? I don't know, man. Some kind of freaking OCD nonsense. But anywho, I don't know what that had to do with anything. I was making songs. I told him I was going to make a mozzarella song. The song I was singing was Lights by Journey, I think it's called, When the Lights Go Down. And then I realized that in the song, you're singing City by the Bay. And I'm like, oh, there's a thing there somewhere. So we got to play with that a little bit. But yeah, 99 Left Balloons. We got to do that for Baron Sorrell. For sure. Oversharing time on the Packernet Podcast Network. Daniel from California, what's up?
Hey, Ryan, Daniel from California. We got good news on Micah. What it was is he was talking about his knee surgery that he had and comparing it to Tucker, and he gave a couple tidbits that let us know what they did. So he said Tucker got to go start his physical therapy immediately, and he had it to a month. What that tells you is the surgery he had for his meniscus, there's two general kinds, where they just cut the tear off. You have a little bit less padding, but you heal really, really fast. Or you sew up the meniscus. It takes a little bit longer. You have to wait 4 to 6 weeks before you can start your physical therapy after your ACL surgery when you have that meniscus put together. The good thing we got, the good news is he chose the right route, because when you do the slice route, there is generally about a 30% chance of having early onset arthritis. And I am one of the unfortunate few. I tore my ACL playing junior college football. What ended up happening is I had the San Jose Sharks, the hockey team's their surgeon. He did my knee surgery, and that guy, he kind of like, hey man, if you want me to do the ACL, the meniscus is going to have to be a slice. You can't, if you want it the other way where they do the sew up method, it's going to have to be a different surgeon. But it's not a big deal if you don't want to go that route. Just let me know. So he's got the credibility. He does all the San Jose Sharks ACL. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go with this guy. Fortunately, I got early onset arthritis, 30% chance. I'm one of the lucky 3 out of 10. So it is what it is. But I'm glad Micah chose the longevity route, took the extra 4 to 6 weeks to recover properly, and it seems like everything's going good. And whenever he comes back, he said he could potentially come back week 6. I don't care. I think we're here decent enough to make it through even without him for a temporary period of time. So just heal up, buddy, and come back when you're ready. Go, Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, that is the priority, is making sure that he does whatever it takes for longevity. That is going to be the priority. It doesn't really change anything for me as far as the timeline, but we'll have to see how that plays out, I guess. Bramble, what's going on?
Hey, dude. Packy. This is one of my least favorite off seasons so far. If we obsess over kicker anymore, I don't know what I'll do. I'm just at my wit's end about people obsessing over kicker. Maybe I should just put a ball on the tee so he can kick it to the uprights for you guys. Anywho, yeah, McManus need kicks in preseason. Missed him in games. Anywho, Tom changed his name. All right, bye.
Could only partially make that out, but I did get the distinct impression that you don't like kicker talk. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know if it's like a stop worrying about stupid stuff because it's not the time to do that, or if it's more of I just don't like kicker talk. I'm not really sure, but it is important, and it's good to me that he did well. You know, there's no question our success, regular and especially postseason, unfortunately will come down to how good of a kicker you have. At some point, there's going to be a game-winning field goal on the line, and by some point, I mean multiple times probably, throughout a season, and a decent chance that'll happen at some point in the postseason. At the very least, you know, you're coming within, you figure the point margins and then also factor in how many points a kicker gets in a game. I mean, if it's 2 field goals and 2 extra points, that's a lot of points. So that's why, you know, team point leaders are kickers. It's not a minor thing. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm not panicked about it. I'm upset about the situation and the way that they handled it, and I am nervous because I feel like we have a very, very good team, and having a really bad special team, specifically a kicker that has a low field goal rate, extra point rate, whatever, is one of the things that could certainly derail a otherwise promising season. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got Liz in upstate New York.
Hi, Ryan. It's Liz. It's nice to have you back.
Hi.
I was listening to all your podcasts while you were gone, everything that was on. I would like to shout out to Brooke from Illinois because she's the first time I've heard another female on here. So thank you, Brooke, for calling in. There's a lot of us out there that are diehard who know a lot. So it's nice to hear another woman on the line.
It is nice to get some. I hate to sound stupid and say diversity, but you know what I mean? It's diversity of opinion, number one. That's why I said it'd be good to get some people that just freaking hate, just the most ravenous. I mean, we have some semi-negative people, but I don't think we have, like Packer superfan, I don't think is a negative fan. I will accept his classification of himself. Bramble can be a little negative, but I don't think he's a negative fan. I just think he's a straight shooter kind of guy that's just going to say it like it is. So I would rather have that. And similarly, yeah, it is. I don't know. It's just nice to have different viewpoints, different personalities, different. I just enjoy it, man. I like it. I like people from all different places. We got people from different countries, so I definitely enjoy it. I know at one point, there really were no female callers. We had I think one from Michigan. I forget what that was about. There were a bunch of Michigan callers at one point. There was a I mean, JJ's from Michigan. There was another dude that I think knew JJ that called in. And then there was this girl that called in, something about horses. I don't remember. And then there was a lull, right? But then we get 1265 fan. We got Brooke. And now we have Liz from upstate New York. So we're making a comeback here. And I'm hoping you guys all stick around.
Nothing against all you gentlemen that call in. As I was listening to all these podcasts, I just kept having the same analogy in my head about what happened last season. And I wanted to picture a caravan of cars.
Okay.
With brand new tires on. And a tire would go flat, get a hole in it, so they'd take a different tire. They'd either patch it up or they'd throw a donut on. Somebody would get hurt, they'd throw a donut on. They'd plug it. And by the end of the season, everyone says, well, we're going to win a playoff game. Somehow that caravan almost got us to our destination, even with donuts and patched up tires and everything else. If you think about, you were going through stuff like Savion Williams. I forgot that he was hurt last year. Does he play an integral role? No, but when you take a wheel after wheel after wheel
right.
after wheel, and then, we got a wheel back, so we ordered a new tire, came, put it back on, and then 3 more tires bust. And it was like our entire season last year. So I'm impressed that this caravan almost got us to our destination. It got us to the playoffs. We made it to town. We didn't quite get to the building. I know maybe that's just corny analogy, but that's all I kept thinking of. And if this season...
I'm all about analogies here.
If we could keep the tires on and not have anybody go flat, or just a few flat tires instead of all of our tires having to be replaced throughout the entire season, I think we could get to the building we're looking to get to. So I'm enjoying your commentary. Thank you again, and go Pack, go.
I agree, and I know some people don't really like that, the whole, if we can stay healthy, because it's you're not going to stay healthy kind of thing. But it is fair to look at it and say, okay, but let's talk about the actual team at full strength. What I'm saying is every team at full strength, I genuinely believe we have, and I haven't analyzed every single team, but I will say I would be stunned if I didn't come out saying top 5. You can, let's just say for the sake of argument, and I don't know that this is true, but LA is probably the top. Seattle, I know, is going to have some regression, but let's just throw them in there. Denver, I'm not putting in that category. We'll talk about that on tomorrow's podcast very briefly, so you got to pay attention. But the bottom line is we look a little bit at regression, and they were massively, in some categories, massively in the luck category. It was some crazy number. Basically, every game came down to a coin toss, and they were like 11-2, which is shocking to even have that many games being one-score games. Anyways, I wouldn't put Denver in there. I don't know. Maybe New England or something. I don't know. But and it's hard to know because we don't fully know what the defense or special teams look like. We have new coordinators there. We have new pieces, like with our kicker, with Sky Moore as presumably our return man. But I know our offense was a top 5 to top 10 offense with, like you mentioned, all the tires falling off. So I absolutely expect us to be a top 5 offense. I can't say number 1 because, again, LA is going to be a monster. There's going to be some monster teams out there, or at least teams that have the potential to be monster offenses. But I wouldn't be shocked with number 1 offense. I certainly wouldn't be shocked with a top 3 offense. It really comes down to defense and special teams. I like our defense. I like the way they're looking right now. I know defense tends to win early in camp and all that kind of stuff, but I think they look, not only do they look aggressive and they're making plays, they look competent, which is one of the things that is important. They look like they know what the heck they're doing, minus a few clips of Keyshawn, because everybody likes to make fun of Keyshawn, but he's fine. He'll be fine. Just everything is. You guys know I'm not a vibe guy, but everything's vibing in the right direction. Like Baron Sorrell, where did that come from? Cisse. I just expect guys to kind of be bad. But everything is, it's one of those things where if everything falls in the right direction compared to everything falling in the wrong direction, or, kind of I talk about that all the time, the coin flips. Everything comes down to a coin flips. There are millions of coin flips. We're talking about each individual player, whether they get better, whether they get worse. You're talking about injuries. You're talking about plays. You're talking about games, and you're talking about coaches. There's so many variables that could take a step, could take 2 steps, 3 steps, 5 steps, forward or backward. It just has this feeling of it's way too early. But so far, we've taken it's 7 training camps and a family night, so 8, I think, practices. And for the most part, it's all been forward steps. There've been a couple injuries here and there. Hopefully, family night wasn't too brutal. We'll get some clarification on, I think, Monday. Didn't look bad. But just, again, I didn't have a lot of high expectations for but everything's looking good. Again, Sorrell, Cisse, Morgan, Jordan obviously looks good. Golden looks incredible. Christian looks phenomenal. Tucker ready to go for week 1. Obviously, we got Micah. I would say comfortably the number 2 pass rusher in football. He's going to come back probably about a quarter into the season or so. But anywho, I mention this all the time, and I keep saying it, so I should probably just stop saying it. But I can't get it out of my head that it's just another day of I feel good about that, and there's not a lot that I don't feel good about right now. There's always things. There's always certain things that you feel concerned. Honest question, what is the number one thing right now that since camp has started you thought, I'm not feeling great about that, compared to what you came into it thinking? I don't know what that would be.
What's up, Brian?
What's up, Bruce?
That tweet Batman's going to make an appearance pretty quick, but it's going to be geared at Packers fans. But
all right.
Right now, what I want to talk about is a lot of what's been going on in training camp has brought me back to my days of playing rugby back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I think, not that we're overanalyzing, but that we need to look at the other side of that they've been doing a lot of practice is this blitzing. And I don't think it's so much telling as to what the defense is going to do, but quite honestly, I believe it's a weakness on the offensive line that they're trying to figure out and get them prepared for. So when you're seeing these double safety blitzes, these really exotic blitzes, it's really more preparing the line for what they're going to be seeing, because we all know that Jordan Love is freaking elite with the clean pocket. So if you can, on a double blitz, be prepared, whether it's a corner blitz or a safety blitz, and they're looking for it as an offensive line, regardless of who's in there, until, I'm going to call him Zach Tom until I can figure out his name. Yeah. But Kennard and Morgan and Yeager got in there, and all these guys that they're playing pretty much at their natural positions as much as they possibly can until guys start coming back, and hopefully everybody's back and we have some cohesiveness. But I think it's more the looks for the offensive line to be prepared for this stuff, and as long as it keeps working, I think they're going to beat that to death until they figure it out. So that's just kind of the other side of the coin that I remember we used to do when we used to practice. If we had a weakness, it was a constant just barrage of that until we got comfortable enough to recognize it, see it, so it doesn't happen in real game time. Anyway, that's just the other side of the coin that I was thinking about, because I started getting excited, like, oh yeah, it's going to be a super aggressive defense. This is the guy that plays quarters, man. And not that we're not going to bring defenses, like an aggressive defense. We might be more aggressive. I don't know. We don't know what Gannon is bringing, but I think Gannon is trying to exploit what we're seeing on the offensive line as a weakness, and he's targeting that, man. That's the way I'm looking at all these, constant blitzes. I don't think it's a tell to the defense. I think it's more a tell of what they're trying to do to prepare the offensive line for what might be coming, depending on how they line up, what they do. So just some insight that I thought about today, man. Anyway, hopefully there's a Packernet After Dark pretty quick, brother. Peace out.
Yeah, so I've been questioning that quite a bit in terms of, how real is it, what does it mean, and all that. And obviously on Packers family night, they were very vanilla. And so my thought on that was which is the real defense. I guess if I were to push back a little bit on that, number one would be the fact that this is a brand new defense. The priority for the defense should be to get the defense ready. So not to say that you can't try to help the offense in some kind of a way, but if this is a brand new defense with a new defensive coordinator, new guys trying to learn the scheme, I'm not going to spend the entire time running like the Minnesota Vikings defense to prepare them for week one and to help them with a weakness that they have while not doing hardly anything that is what our defense should be. You know what I mean? That would be surprising, and I would be very upset if that was the case. The other thing is like I said, it sounds like they're planning to run kind of two defenses. And in Arizona, because of the lack of talent, he was much more creative, doing a lot of different kinds of things to try to generate pressure and whatnot. So he's not averse to that. He's not opposed to that at all. So it's possible. I'm not saying that it has to be. You could absolutely be right. But if I had to guess, I would guess that they are working on a lot of these things because they're probably going to be utilizing some of these techniques to generate pressure until Mike is able to come back. That would be my guess, which is also why I said I don't want Packer fans to get too excited about it. Number one, because you might be right, and this might just be throwing a bunch of crap at the wall. You know, we're learning all kinds of stuff. We're doing some of the blitzes, some of the not, so they learn the whole playbook, even if it's not what we're going to be doing a lot of the time. But also, number two, even if we do see an aggressive defense, don't expect it to stay that way, because when he gets his team the way he wants it, that's when it's like you said, he's going to run the defense he wants to run, now that he has his pieces. And the defense he wants to run, as far as we know, is not really a overly aggressive, blitz-happy defense. So either way, I would caution Packer fans to not expect that to be the thing. But I also would say that I think that there's probably something very real about what they're doing right now. Just my guess. All right, let's take our final break. We got Drew from Green Bay.
Hey, it's Drew from Green Bay, and
Hey.
I heard you talking on Packernet After Dark about the play clock going down. And one thing about that is, like, obviously there is a negative that the defense can try to time things, but that's not exactly as easy as it sounds. I mean, I used to play like nose guard on the line, and the thing is like even in a single second, if you're trying to time it, like there's many increments of a second. So if you're on the wrong side of the second, even when you know it's about to hit zero, you can still jump early, and it only takes like a quarter of a second or half of a second before you're gonna hit that lineman and before you're gonna get offsides. Now, will the ref always call it? No, that's why we get into trouble sometimes, is they do jump off and the refs don't call it because it's kind of bang bang. But the other advantage of it that I think people don't talk about enough is that the defense doesn't get a chance to move. So if you're gonna, when you're snapping it like right at zero, then they've already done their movement. But if you're snapping it early, they could be like in the middle of their movement, which might sound good to get them out of position, but actually it might just be like confusing your quarterback and be harder to read. And so I think there's, if you have a good quarterback that can read the defense well, I think it's better to have them where they're going to be in the positions that they're going to be in, and just like rely on outplaying them instead of trying to gamify like 3 seconds here, 4 seconds there, 2 seconds here, like, and you give more time for audibles and all of that. So there's some consistency on offense. But I do agree that I wish they wouldn't quite get down as low as they do. Like, I mean, we've gotten delay of games because of it, and that's just not acceptable. And that is the result of going like, not even going to zero, but going that extra half a second past zero every time. Well, eventually you're going to get called. So anyways, I will talk to you later, and can't wait to hear what you think about that. Bye.
Well, yeah, I think it would be a good thing to talk to Matt LaFleur about. And I don't know how in-depth of an answer he gives. He doesn't usually give very good in-depth answers. It's if anything, especially if he's sensing that you're being somewhat negative, it's going to be kind of a snippy response. But, I mean, it would just be kind of interesting to hear, like you said, and it's one of the things, too, that I appreciate you mentioned that, because there's a lot of things we don't think about. There's a lot of, everything intuitively seems like, yeah, that's bad and you should stop doing it. But there might be little nuanced things where it's like, this can benefit us and this is why it helps and this is why we like to do it. And so you kind of weigh them out. It's sort of the two sides of every story thing. And we usually take the one side and run with it without hearing the other. Now, maybe there isn't another side and it's just, we want to get to the line and get it snapped as fast as possible. This is as fast as we can do it, and it's not fast enough, which I think is what a lot of people assume. Faster is better. We're not doing it fast, which means we're doing something wrong, as opposed to, are there benefits to slowing down? What are those benefits, and how do you weigh that with, the occasional delay of game that's going to happen because you take that extra second too long? And I don't know the answer to those things. It's why it's a tough one to figure out. One of the things when I was digging around, and we kind of know this because I've talked about the slow pace of play or whatever the case may be as far as the offense, but there was something else too. I think it was like how many defensive plays or something. It was something like that, and it was like the lowest. I think it was defensive snaps or something like that. The Packers were the lowest. So they just had the least amount of snap. And the thing is, you look at it from an offensive standpoint and you say, well, that's terrible because we want more yards and we want more stats and we want more all these things, which at the end of the day is kind of irrelevant. It's about winning the game. And, more points seems like it would do more, but not really, because if you're getting less possessions, so is the other team, assuming we're not talking about interceptions, which we're not in this context. So again, it becomes a question of what is the benefit, but also like where does it work for you? That would be a question for Packer fans where I think some would actually struggle when they shouldn't. If it was the case that the Packers are a better team when the pace is slow, meaning they're going to win more games but score less points, would you choose to do that, or do you want them to push the pedal to the metal and try to get Jordan Love 5,000 yards and whatever, even if it means it's just a bunch of shootouts that we lose? You know what I'm saying? Just saying. There's two sides to every coin, and I the problem is sometimes there's a lot of information and it's hard to analyze everything. And it would be good to hear from Matt LaFleur or somebody, Adam Stenovich or somebody about that, as far as their thoughts on the philosophy behind that.
Hey Ryan,
Hi.
Gee, dang. Oh my gosh, let me finish freaking eating this protein bar. What the hell's wrong with me?
Do it, beer cheese.
So I've been in and out listening to the pod.
Thanks, dude.
I listened to the episode about the controversy, which I don't know why it's a controversy, about Matthew Golden being the ex-receiver. And all I gotta say about that is, who the hell cares? Because why should I care who the ex-receiver is? Because for all I give a shit, friggin' Tucker Kraft could be the ex-receiver. I don't give a shit, dude. Like, I care.
It's such a good answer. I mean, the answer to the question is you've got stat nerds, you've also got film nerds, and this is kind of a film nerd thing. A lot of people don't care, and I honestly, for the most part, don't really care. It's marginally interesting, I guess. But yeah, that's a fantastic. That's the best take I've heard on this situation. Who freaking cares?
What is going to help the Green Bay Packers win games? And if that's Matthew Golden at X, sure. I really don't care. And honestly, dude, you don't have to be X every freaking time, man.
Right.
I mean, Watson can be the X. Anybody, I don't really care. Just scheme up the right plays, get open, and catch the ball. And I don't care who gets it. If it wins us games, then it doesn't freaking matter. I just think people are getting so caught up in this bullcrap that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm really excited for this season, man. And honestly, dude, I hate to say this because I never used to be this way. When I lived in South Carolina, it was hot as shit, dude. It's still really hot where I'm at in North Carolina. Not as hot as where I was in South Carolina, but I honestly am just ready for it to start cooling down, dude. Now, I hate when it gets, like, really cold, especially here because I'm by the ocean. Like, so you get that ocean wind, and so everything's colder than what it really is. But I am just ready for that football weather. You know what I mean? Like, where it's just, like, 60 degrees or something like that here anyways. Just, crisp air. And, wear sweatshirts and crap. But, dude, I've been sweating my ass off working on this golf course, man. And it's killing me, man. And I know I'm going to complain as soon as, like, December or middle of November hits. I'm going to be bitching and wishing that it was hot again. But right now, I need to be a little cooler. But the good thing is I'm losing weight, which is good because I do be eating a lot. I'm eating a lot of crap. And but I'm burning it off with what I'm doing on the golf course. So, anyways, go Pack, go.
Well, your name's Beard Cheese, so I would expect you to be well fed. That's number one. I definitely know what you mean. I refuse to complain about heat. I get annoyed with when my family does. It's too hot. No, it's not. It's perfect. Go stand in it for a minute. I despise complaining about heat because I hate cold so much. It's like those political arguments where, like, somebody on your side of the argument does something horrific, and it's like I refuse to condemn it because then it feels like I'm on the side of the other people that I hate. That's me, but with weather. I refuse to acknowledge that anything, the bugs, the flies, the frickin' heat, any of it. It's never been bad. It's always great. I love every second of it because I refuse to acknowledge that heat is great. It's the best thing ever. With that said, though, football weather, that first like blast of like cool air that comes in right at the football season, there is something. I mean, spring and fall are magical. There really is something magical about spring and fall. And I hate to pit them against each other because they're super. I mean, spring is more of like a relief. Like, oh, thank you so much. I love you and I missed you. And I just, it's beautiful in every way. But that's kind of fall is more like magic. There's almost like a child. There are very few things in my life that kind of bring out this childlike wonder. Fall is kind of that. And it makes sense because what does it make you think of? Going back to school when you were a kid. Makes you think about football and like you said, putting on the sweatshirts and going to grandma's, and it just brings back all the memories. And of course, what do you have coming up? We got Thanksgiving, it makes Christmas, all these things just come flooding back. And there's it's like this lie that cold is amazing. Like you just want to be bundled up by a fire in a sweatshirt watching football games, drinking eggnog and hot cocoa, and it's like that's all I ever want in life. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened. The leaves falling, go on a walk through the woods with the changing of the leaves and the leaves all across your path. It's just, it's beautiful. So I definitely understand what you mean. But yeah, I mean, as far as the XYZ thing, you say, I don't really care. It's just what works. Well, that's kind of what the debate is. Not that we know, not that it really matters, but that's what fans do. We have our preferences. Whether it's kind of like, where do you want this person to play on the offensive line? Should he be a guard? Should he be a tackle? Who should be the guy that makes the 53? None of those things actually matter, but it's what fans do. They argue about nuance and their opinions and all that stuff, and this is the same thing. Where should Golden play to best help the team win football games? But if it's not something you're interested in, I understand. Great take. Good to hear from you. All right, we'll do a last call here because we have 4 Andys from Kansas, and I don't want to break those up. So we'll save those for tomorrow. Randy from Minnesota, what's going on?
Hi, Ryan. It's Randy in Minnesota.
Hello.
Yep. It's been a minute since I called. I have been keeping up on all the pods, though.
Appreciate it.
But I got something to complain about.
Oh, here we go.
Between you and Clayton, you got me in trouble.
Oh, here we go.
Let me explain. 2 weeks ago, I was Randy and the Driftless. People in Wisconsin and Minnesota know what I'm talking about. And I was celebrating my granddaughter's first birthday.
Nice.
And as things wound down, we started talking Packers and these are all Packer fans, all boo-hooing, and I'm sorry about that. That's my dog, obviously. But they were all boo-hooing and saying how last year sucked and the Bears are mighty better, blah, 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 blah. And I went back and I said, you realize we had 64% of our salary sitting on the bench, either on IR or pulled out of the game because they were injured. And they looked at me like I had a third head. Well, that can't be. I said, no, it is. Let's take a look. And I showed them and all the people that we had down, and then they were like, well, LaFleur should have done better. I'm like, how is he getting the blame when Jeff Hadley got zero? Yeah. So it was interesting. And I actually had one person say, oh, that's just Randy. He listens to those podcasts nonstop. So he thinks he's a genius. Well, I'm not a genius.
Well, it's so funny that people do that. You know, leaving aside the part about whether or not the podcasts are genius or not, essentially what he's saying is, oh, that's just Randy. He's a guy that obsesses over these things, thinks about these things, tries to educate himself about these things, and so he thinks that his opinion means more. Well, yeah, it probably does. Not to mention that your entire attack here is nonsense. I don't know what fallacy that would be considered. It doesn't really matter. But it's a ridiculous one because it's on its face, it's stupid. It's like saying, oh yeah, that's that guy who goes to the gym and lifts weights so he thinks he can lift more than me. Yeah, probably. What are you talking about? What a stupid... Sorry, I shouldn't say that. These are your friends and family or whatever, but what a absurd thing to say.
Obviously. But I would like to have the information before I start making these blanket statements. Anyhow.
Crazy thought.
That being that, I am so excited about, this training camp has got me so excited. Everything I'm hearing, I just was watching the highlights of Family Night. Yeah. I'm so excited for this year. I think we have a lot of things that are basically coming together at once.
And to your point, I think a lot of us that are paying attention, obviously there's hyper negative people, but it's crazy to me that there are people right now, despite everything that's happening, that's looking quite good. You know, again, cross your fingers, you know, knock on wood, all that stuff, that everything stays the way it is. But it is drifting in a very positive direction. And we have people sitting here boo-hooing about Matt LaFleur sucks and you suck and we're going to be stupid. I mean, they legitimately live in a different world, which is why I would like them to call into the show. By the way, Randy, you should convince them to call into the show. I know they won't, because, you know, well, I'm not engaging with those freaking people. I will be nice. I promise. I will be nice. As nice as I can. Assuming they're polite. But that's what, because it's like, you know, we're in a bubble. I think it's a correct and educated bubble, but we're in a bubble, which makes it hard to know what else is out there. Like, I don't know what other people are upset. If you told me, like, somebody really feels like the negative, Mr. Negative that I reference all the time, haven't talked about in a while, but he's been a long-standing person on the show that I've talked about. He just messages me randomly on Facebook about negative stuff. He thinks we're going to be bad. We're going to be I think he said a 6-win team. I don't even know where to begin with that because I don't know where that would come from. But that's where I would love to have some people call in and help me to understand, what are you talking about?
We have a chance to have one heck of a really special season. There's just so much going on right now that I'm just kind of like, I don't want to wake up from this. We have players who are finally coming to their own, and it's exciting. So anyway, my time's almost up, and I just want to tell you, thank you for the information you put out. It really helps when you try to educate people, even though they don't want to be educated, but it is what it is. And thanks, Ryan. Go Pack, go. Bye.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I find myself apologizing a lot of the time because some of this stuff it can be dry. I was just looking, you guys are going to get so mad at me. I found a YouTube video. I don't know if I'm taking it too far with some of this like going to school stuff, but the bottom line is, look, I find this stuff interesting. When I started the podcast, and I've told this story a million times, I won't do the whole story, but it started off with me wanting to do a blog. I didn't know very much about podcasts at the time. I knew they kind of existed, but I didn't know much about them. I was going to do a blog. Blogs were kind of a thing. And my thought was, I genuinely believe that I can contribute value that is hard to find out there. And so I'm just going to do it. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to do it for 1 year. I'm going to put out articles, and they're going to be in-depth, and they're going to be things that are just not really out there. And, you know, it's pass-fail. Either it provides the value, people find it, and they say, hey, this is really good, and they stick with me, or they don't, and then I'll stop doing it. That's still kind of how I feel about the podcast today. Now, I don't want to take it too far, and, you know, I want to be able to have opinions that are just opinions for the sake of being an opinion. Just talk about stuff and allow people to just talk about stuff because it's how they think, how they feel, whatever. That's fine. I don't want to be a freaking too much of a Nazi about it. But, you know, if I can help all of us understand, because the stuff that I'm saying a lot of the times, it's what I'm going through right now. It's what I'm thinking about right now. So it's my evolution and growth, and then I just give it to you, and that's it. I learned something. I transformed how I think about something. You know, I love my breakthrough on my thoughts on stats. That's like foundational for me right now in so many different ways and conversations that I have with people and understanding of things or whatever. But again, it's kind of a breakthrough for me, and so I'm like, here, you have it. And so it's kind of stupid to apologize because that's what the goal is here. And obviously, not everybody's going to like every single segment that I do. Some people more like the ranty, anti-rival stuff. That's fine. But you know, I want to have as intelligent of an understanding of things as you can possibly have. And you can't have a perfectly intelligent understanding. In fact, our visibility of what's happening is unbelievably low. But I want to at least try to get as close to the edge as we can possibly get. By the way, the name of the YouTube video that I found that I just started watching, I'm only 4.5 minutes in of a 44-minute thing, but it's The 3 Elements of Stupidity According to Philosophy. I saw that and thought, man, I gotta see what that's about. But started off learning about Bonhoeffer and stuff, which is pretty cool. But anywho, I will leave it at that. Y'all have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.